You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth.
And my kidneys were failing at the time, and I eventually got to my shoulder and this is my head, but I'm not my head, or this is my brain, I'm not my brain. And I pointed to my kidneys and said, these are my kidneys, but I'm not my kidneys. And everything just kind of dropped away. And it was moments later, everything went kind of quiet, and it was like, okay, what now? What now? What are we going to do now? What's the next step? And I kind of went from this down, depressed, upset, frustrated person to someone that's creating in a split second. And that's not through brilliance or anything or positive thinking. That was through a realization in a moment that, oh, I'm not any of those things.
Right. I get to say, truly one of the warmest people I've ever met. I've got my good friend Oli Mansfield here. Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you, Sam Goldfinch. Good to see
Yeah.
you.
We always say every time we get on a call together or when we're in person, we're like, oh, we need to do this more often. Dude, I giggle so much when we're together. We always have such a good time. So I've got no idea what the fuck's going to happen in the next half an hour, 40 minutes, but we'll find out, I suppose.
Let's do that.
Right. We have known each other now for, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 6 years. I don't know how long it's been,
I would
something
have
like
thought
that.
6 years. Yeah, I would have thought
Yeah.
around there.
And we bumped into each other through Jamie Smart's world, and we've done a bunch of coach trainings together and that kind of thing, and just hung out and had a lot of fun and a giggle. And recently, you've gone and, well, I say recently, I remember sitting in London. I think it would have been, this might have been last summer, and I knew you were writing a book. And we were chatting about, we were in a little group together, and you were chatting about it. And I was like, I cannot wait to read that when it comes out. And so when it came out, was it last week or the week before? I snaffled myself a copy, and I've been reading through it, and I'm very excited to explore it, man. But it's no mean feat writing a book. So we're going to talk about that today. And, other than that, we'll see what else comes up, hey?
Sounds good.
Yeah. What do you want to? I mean, my bio is that he's a top bloke, and I really like hanging out with him. But what do you want to add to that for our audience? Because they might not know who you are, man.
I think that, well, look, I'll take that to start as a starter for 10. I mean, what more do you need? I'm a transformational coach. I work with all kinds of people, all walks of life. I also have a business with my business partner Simon Payne called Paragon, and www.Paragon Advantage. He works with elite people and athletes. However, no, I happily work with anyone if we're a good fit and there's growth to be had and love and understanding to be found.
Oh, nice, man. I'm just gonna hold this book up for the screen. I don't know if this will go out on YouTube. It probably will. Letting Go, Gaining Everything is the title of the book. And I know you do many things, man. You mentioned a few there, and you're very connected into the how there isn't really a distinction between the mind and the body, and how it's all kind of one thing playing out. And I know that we've had loads of conversations about the importance of holistically transforming. Holistically, it's not just about thinking, it's not just about thought work, it's about all levels of the system. And I am super curious as to how someone, like the way that you see the world, I love how you see the world, what it was that sparked your desire to write a book in the first place. Like, what was the seed?
Well, that's a great question. Um, I think, well, to be honest, I think, well, everyone's got a book in them. We've all got a journey. We're all on a journey. We're all dancing with the universe,
Yeah.
and uh, and we all have our stories, and we also have our truth. And I guess so. It's all the way along. There's been a book within me. I guess I love quotes. Always have done. They've always been a kind of what I call a wisdom nudge. They've woken up parts of me just when I've needed it, and that's got me really curious over the years, even before I was into coaching and linguistics and listening and the wonders that we do. And so quotes play a massive part in my book and kind of frame chapters. And then so the rich tapestry of my life, the ups and downs, the undulations, the mistakes, the greatness, the love, the joy. And I guess most importantly is my daughter Jessie. She's like my guiding star, my compass, my north of and I wanted her to have something of me. In 2018, I wasn't very well, and it kind of gets you thinking. It's one of those moments where it's one of the more beautiful moments if you're not doing well or not feeling well, is to what could I create? And actually, I would love Jessie to have something that could help her out, or just got something to hold her hand, not help her out. She has
Yeah.
everything she needs already within her, but something to for her to hold her hand on her journey, which maybe I didn't have in certain, certain parts of it and so forth, and would have been really useful. So that was kind of the main player in actually it's time to write a book. Um,
Yeah. That's a beautiful it's a beautiful unfolding. I love it. And I know how much love you've got for your family, man. It's clear. Like
yeah, oh, massively.
yeah.
Massively, and I think we spoke about it just briefly before we got started. The other thing it was written for was also written for me. Even the title came from that we have to write a letter in when we first worked with Jamie,
Yeah.
and that those words came when I was writing a letter to myself, and it's I let go and gained everything, and I didn't really know what that meant, but actually the process of even writing a book was part of this wonderful dance and journey that we're on and I'm on. And I know I see it as a truth. I see the more we can let go of the ideas, beliefs, the story, and we can gain the totality of life itself and the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
I love it, man. Like that dance, it's strikes me as well. Like I know that there've been many times for me where I've got caught up in some kind of, I have to create that because, or it needs to look like that, or there's pressure, and then this kind of innocent missing of the beautiful truth, which is once we wake up to the wholeness that we are, those creative movements are just so natural, like being moved to create. So it's not like binary, option one, live in the knowledge of your inherent wholeness and do snuffle. Option two, pressurize the shit out of yourself and become a billionaire. It like it's really not binary like that, right? Like that movement, that call to create something beautiful. Well, the book's evidence of it, right? Like
Yeah,
it's like the being in a settled creative space, having less on our mind, and then we're able to kind of hear those, like you call them, wisdom signals or nudges. And I know, like, I haven't got there yet, but I know that wisdom doesn't follow rules as a quote found its way into the
you're
book.
in it. You're in the book.
I'm in
You're
the
in the
book.
book. You're in the book.
Check that out. That if for no other reason, I had to get you on because of that, man.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and just so people know, so the book is like a really beautiful. I think unfolding is a really nice way to explain it actually, because it's kind of like a journey from around a bunch of really amazing kind of quotes, but then there's kind of personal stuff from your life that bring the quotes to life and what they mean to you, and then they flow into other perspectives from other authors. And yeah, it's really nice. It doesn't follow the track that most books follow, and I mean that in a really, like, that's very cool actually, because at the beginning when it says absorb this book in whatever way feels right to you, I'm a bit of a sucker for starting at the beginning and working through that way. But like it strikes me as a book that people could pick up at any point and they'd get something from it by reading it in all sorts of different ways, right?
Yeah, I think well, I've had messages from people kindly saying about certain chapters that have affected their lives already,
Yeah.
and I've not had two messages about the same chapter, which is really interesting, which I find us really get really curious about. And yeah, I kind of there's no plan with the books, the chapters. They kind of came to fruition of exploring each quote with help. Greg Fisher, the legend Greg Fisher over in
Big up,
Canada.
Greg.
He yeah, he kind of started talking about we could write book about about quotes and things like that. And he's been again a guiding light in just directing me and helping me with the technicalities, especially of putting a book together. But really, like you say, there's no rules, and I guess in each chapter is just bits and pieces of all the stuff that we've done together with Jamie and my other teachers and just life itself. So there are the little stories which we know that stories are milk and cookies time. They drop people into a place where they can relate and hear something different. And then there are little bits of breakdowns about linguistics and what does even aliveness mean, or what does alive mean, and looking at the etymology or
Yeah.
the meanings. And so yeah, I didn't know where I was going as I wrote it. It was just a book of love and passion and joy, really. I enjoyed it until I had to start doing all the spellings and the full stops. Then it started getting stressful.
Yeah, spelling and grammar.
Yeah,
My God,
grammar.
it's so funny. When I first started, this is such an aside, but when I first started teaching English abroad, I didn't have a clue, man. Like I kind of, I knew what I knew in terms of like, had learned grammar and stuff intrinsically, like it was in there. But any of the like, why is it like that, or why is it like this stuff? I mean, I didn't have a clue. So I basically had to go back to school and learn all about it, and that included punctuation and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I totally I get it, I get it. But what's come out is beautiful, man. Like as I said, I started reading a couple of weeks ago, or a week or so ago, I think, and then I went away for a few days. So I've only been able to dive into the first, say, quarter of the book. But yeah, it just flows really nicely. It flows really nicely, and it's a nice book to be able to pick up a bit and just read a page or two and really absorb it. Like
Yeah.
it's and to kind of sit with it. What are some of the, and I'm sure there's many, but are there a couple of things that pop up as insights you had as a process of writing the book itself, or like things that became much clearer to you in the process of putting it together?
I think one of the I guess one of the gifts I found, but also as a major problem, was I'm seeing and hearing things in every conversation. So I could literally write the book again because you have a conversation with a client or a loved one or your coach, and it's like, oh yeah, that's really great. I want to put that in, that story in, or it's just there's just endless amounts of information out there if you're open to it, if you're looking, if you're not stuck,
Yeah.
I guess, if you're not stuck and you're just flowing. And yeah, I think my wife would have probably divorced me if I had kept on adding any more. Because it was like, yeah, we're gonna launch it, but I'm just gonna just put this quote in, or I'm just gonna put this in. And she was just like, send it off, do it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no, I get it. I mean, one of the reasons I think over the last, 'cause it's 3 years, do you know, I think it's 3 years this week or last week that this podcast and the Rebel Spirituality project's been
oh,
going. I'm like, no way.
congratulations.
How did that happen? Yeah, it's cool. And I've written hundreds of thousands of words, maybe over a couple of 100,000 words, and lots of Substack pieces. And I did start writing like a large part of a book that became then that became part of a program that I was running. And one of the reasons has been this ever shifting kind of, wow, now it looks like this, wow, now it looks like that, like, and in the end you're right, like I absolutely know that that impulse to create something is there, and it is what it is. You just create something that's perfect for how you see things now. What shows up is what shows up. And I've always been quite happy to, there's all sorts of things I think I've probably said on podcasts and things that I see it differently now or something like that. But I just, so what? It's almost like nothing stands still even for a second, does it? Including our understanding. It's always moving.
I think there's also what springs to mind listening to you is because I had loads of insecurities. Firstly, like we've got like the three principles kind of back base thing, and I'm like, there's the three P's police are going to tear this to shreds. And then it
They
was a
might
case,
turn up now.
and I remember my daughter Jessie saying I was looking a bit stressed with all doing all the grammar and stuff, and saying I just need it to be good enough for people to read. And she said, "Daddy, some people will love it, some people will hate it, and it will have nothing to do with you."
Mm.
And I was like, "That's smart. That's
Yeah,
smart. Thank you." And
that's very smart.
she's 11, and so my get kind of like sounding a bit Sydney Banksy here, but is it doesn't matter what's in the book, but if someone's reading it for the right reason and with the right metaphorical glasses on, even if it's out of date, even if it's not what I mean now, they're going to pick up on the right feeling and sense of it. So I kind of it is, I kind of had to let go of my book in a way as
Yeah,
well, if,
that's
to
it.
excuse the title and the pun. But I think that yeah, there's loads of bits and pieces in there which will be shifting and if I read back, might even be like, oh, but it's all written for the right reason. And I think that if you read it for that, you're going to find some gold in it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I can't remember where I wrote it the other day, but the feeling that we're in when we're writing is seems to be more important than the words themselves. Like there is this just transmission or this, I don't know what the right words
Yeah.
are, you know. So yeah, I'm with you, man.
And I
But
had
yeah,
gaps. I had gaps of
right.
not writing it as well, which is really just springs to mind now with what you just said. And I wonder, because maybe it was a feeling I was in that decided that I wasn't going to, I wasn't going to write because I didn't have a right feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I tell you, the feeling of the book, like it's very clear to, and you know, very clear to me that you have written this, man. Like the feeling that you have for life is the book's dripping in it. So that's and it's really easy to read, and I mean that in a like it's really
Yeah,
kind of accessible, man.
I needed to be simple for me.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
really needed to be.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's not. I mean, incredible. I mean, the thing for me is, you know, like Sid said, if it's complicated, it's the intellect, and if it's
Yeah.
simple, it's spiritual. And so,
And
yeah,
there's points in the book which, I kind of say about, try and read it for yourself, pick up on things that you can relate to. But I talk about my vulnerability and things like that. And that's simple and it's a beautiful thing. But I think my guess is quite a lot of men and women need to experience that or see that that's possible just to be vulnerable and it to be okay. And actually, maybe even it could be a superpower rather
yeah,
than a weakness. So,
yeah. No, like there's no doubt. There's no doubt that that's the case. And well, yeah, and I just so I love it, man. Like, what's the you know the like there's so much in there that we could dive into, but the I don't know. I fancy going into just because I know a lot of people will be listening to this and they'll be like, "Who's this Ollie Mansfield guy?" Like, I know you're a bit of a you're. I know that when we're together, you're kind of very happy to kind of sit back and absorb and kind of be this amazing presence, but it's really cool to have you like to have you sharing stuff on the podcast. So the question that's coming to me in this moment is something that me and you have reflected on, but it's going to be new and fresh now, I guess, which is what is your you said about being a transformational coach. What's your how does transformation happen as you see it now? Like what's your philosophy of transformation, as Jamie would say, in this moment? Like what strikes you?
yeah, it's a great question. The first word that springs to mind is space, is creating the space. I guess Jamie would call it creating the conditions, but to allow the ability for someone to share and to be listened to deeply without judgment and critique, with love and understanding, I guess. And through that grounding and presence of just being able to share and hear yourself again, literally and metaphorically, that in itself has massive powers. I remember doing it. I'm pretty sure I did an exercise of you years ago where we just had to sit there for 4 minutes while someone spoke to you,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to try and fix them or solve their problems. And if it felt really tricky at the time, and now it feels just so natural to just just kind of be open for someone to share. And then with that happening, obviously there's ninja skills and bits and pieces we can do and storytelling and guidance. But knowing that a client or a friend or a daughter or a son is not broken and doesn't need fixing, and knowing that as a truth and
Yeah.
being with them and being present it creates the opportunity for us to walk to the edge of their map, the edge of their intellectual guiding system. And when they're ready, we can jump off and experience something fresh and new and see something differently.
I love that. I love the underscoring of seeing that as a fact as well. Like a different way of languaging the kind of not broken, we don't need fixing thing is that we're all inherently whole. And there's like that's a very, very powerful thing to know. Like you're saying, like whatever questions show up or whatever kind of just being kind of held in that space is magic. And when you say it's a fact, saw a while ago that's been an absolute game changer for me is that the idea that anyone or anything could be broken or could need fixing is only something that the mind can construct. I'm not suggesting that we don't have difficult experiences or that we might not feel emotional pain or but the idea that that's broken or that we need fit like that's life's whole life is expressing as life is even expressing as that kind of innocent idea of brokenness or life is expressing as that experience of whole like if you go into the seed of every experience you find the same thing and I because you're right because I think a lot of people hear that in self-help and spiritual circles they have like a working concept of something of like well yeah you're not broken and like isn't that a nice thing to kind of work towards but it's like a no really like if someone to be with someone in that knowing is transformative before you've even said anything I think
Yeah. And even putting or philosophy or spirituality to the side, even with neurophysiology and things, we know that we have to construct ideas to make sense of what's going on.
yeah
So, oh, I'm feeling upset, and I kind of look outside myself to realize that Sam Goldfinch is making me feel upset.
that bastard
Yeah, and and that's just part. No, I guess that's part of the game, and we flit in and out of it. And so we all have that human experience. But
yeah
I guess just for me, the more I've kind of seen or hung out in a beautiful place, just knowing that it's always available doesn't mean I don't have bad shit going on, or doesn't mean circumstances don't happen. They do. That is life, and my heart goes out to anyone right now listening that's any having feeling or having any kind of struggles.
of course
But knowing that actually behind all of that, underpinning it is who I really am. Just it fills me with hope, if even if it doesn't feel like a fact at the time.
yeah yeah I think what there's a distinction that's been becoming clearer and clearer for me recently around true safety and security seeking and I think what we're pointing to here about the okayness, which is that you're okay no matter what, which for a lot of people they can be like, I don't feel fucking okay, or like there's this immediate response from the mind that says I'm not all right.
Yeah,
But actually, it's as we really as start to understand how our experience is created, how it's constructed, we start to understand, yeah, the deep inherent wholeness of everything and the ways that we can construct other stories and that kind of thing. But if you really look, you'll find that that wholeness, right? The truth of who and what we really are behind the scenes. And the thing is, we tend to, where true safety isn't found through banishing feelings of insecurity or whatever it might be. It's in understanding them and the security things that we're up to, trying to get enough money in the bank or constantly checking that thing to make sure that we're okay. All those things, ironically, they're kind of built into the insecurity structure because they might make us feel better for a moment in time, but then that kind of like cycle just continues. And the real safety comes from moving towards the things that we've innocently been rejecting and moving away from. If to me, anyway, those two distinctions look key, and safety isn't what we have constructed it, what we think it is a lot of the time.
that you're spot on. And actually, there's through the book, I kind of tell stories about what's gone on in my life and so forth. And from the age of 16, when our family business burnt down, innocently, I guess I armored up
Mm,
and kind of battled on as us British do, kind of bullshit.
yeah.
And I knew no difference. So it was serving me at the time. But by the time I got to 37, 38, I was tired, and my body was letting me know, wisdom was letting me know it's time to kind of hang up the armor. And
Mm,
I probably wasn't listening in the right way. And so it decided to put me in bed properly. So it's we've got to stop running. We've got to stop running away from what's really going on and have faith in who you really are can handle this.
yeah, man. Yeah, and I know you go into that in the book, and it was I know it was pretty hairy there for a bit, and so there was quite the wake up call from life, right?
Yeah. as well. I guess it was kind of make or break. It felt like it was make or break anyway. It felt like it was. And what's kind of wonderful is the and when Jamie's been a profound impact on this was kind of laying in a hospital bed, blaming everyone and everything. Which is kind of like it made sense. I was feeling low and I was blaming organic food that I'd eaten. I was blaming my education. I don't think I blamed you, but if I thought
You hadn't
about it,
met, had you met me by
I
then? I
don't
don't
know,
think you
but
had.
I'm blaming you now. Uh, but I remember the thing Jamie taught us, which is to kind of go, no, this is my nose, but I'm not my nose, and this is my shoulder. And it just occurred to me, I was literally in a miserable state, and I did that. I did it out loud, and my kidneys were failing at the time, and I eventually got to my shoulder, and this is my head, but I'm not my head, or this is my brain, I'm not my brain. And I pointed to my kidneys and said, these are my kidneys, but I'm not my kidneys. And everything just kind of dropped away. And it was like moments later, everything went kind of quiet, and it was like, okay, what now? What now? What are we going to do now? What's the next step? And I kind of went from this down, depressed, upset, frustrated person to someone that's creating in a split second. And that's not through brilliance or anything or positive thinking. That was through a realization in a moment that, oh, I'm not any of those things.
Yeah.
So I kind of got a little bit clearer to maybe what I am or who I am, and then carried on hanging out in that space as much as possible.
That's beautiful. So that moment of whatever that moment was, we don't need to put words on it, do we? But the movement from the contraction around whatever it was to the expansiveness of a recognition of,
A freedom within, I would call
yeah,
it, just a
beautiful.
freedom
Yeah.
instead of a constraint. Probably it felt like everything was tightening up around me, and yeah,
Yeah, well, that's one of the gifts of coming to recognize, I think there's the descriptive world, which a lot of us hang out in most of the time innocently, the world of concept and dialogue, and, this is this and that's that. And then there's the sensate world and the senses and feeling and, the energy that moves through. And then there's the fact of experiencing itself. There's the very nature of what we are, the non-dual space is sometimes how it's spoken to, or the recognition of who and what we really are, which holds which is both at the relative level holds all of that and is also at the absolute level all of that, of course. Like it's just mind, right? And universal mind. And I think that recognition, that freedom, that expansiveness of the decontraction or whatever the word is of recognizing that it's wisdom, man. That space. When I said to you, what is it that makes the difference? I'm so with you. And I think a lot of this is learning that it's safe to reside in that liminal space, that creative kind of force that's always here, because we're so pulled into our contractions and our constructions, because it's just kind of, well, we've either been taught that or it feels natural, or we don't realize there's another place to look, even though it's not a place as such. It's like, these are all words and metaphors. But what a beautiful gift to have been to touch that in that space, and the amount of people I speak to who you said, it's not to do with being this or that. Like many people have, I know for me, like in the heart of addiction, you touch something and you suddenly just know something you didn't know before. And it doesn't have to look like Sid or Eckhart or Byron or whoever. It doesn't have to look like the holy mother of fucking cow moment.
yeah.
It can be, yeah. you know. But yeah, we're all made of the same stuff, right? Yeah, yeah.
all,
Beautiful,
all
man.
formed in a supernova.
Yeah. Well, those things that sound like trite spiritual cliches, we're all made of stardust and all that. There's no smoke without fire with a lot of that stuff. It's absolutely true. That there's yeah. I mean, you can take a purely, even if someone's like, oh God, all this spiritual nonsense, like you could take a purely scientific, and I'd argue they're the same exploration, but purely quote unquote scientific approach and look at everything being
Some are
completely.
funded better.
Yeah, that's true. And you can look at it whatever way you want to, like it's
I think, and yeah, like for anyone listening, is you don't even have to go down any kind of spiritual route is just even just explore the idea of, have there been times when you've been really unhappy, troubled, frustrated, angry? Yeah, loads of times. Has there been some moments when you felt freer, happy, at peace, not wanting much? Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about. It might, that's all I'm aiming for. I'm not aiming for, like you say, angels and fireworks. What I'm aiming for is to spend as much quality time with my loved ones as possible, to hold my daughter's hand, to play, to smile, to giggle, to learn with friends, to chat with friends, to be, not to do, but to be. And that's got nothing to do with spirituality. That's got to do with this moment, and that's all we have. And if you want to hang out in this moment, you cannot be anywhere else. You can't be in the past, the future. You can't be up in your head. You can't be with your mother-in-law. You've got to be here and now. So, what do you
In
want
your
to
head,
create?
anyway. In
Yeah.
your head.
What do you want to create in this moment?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, like I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and it seems that we have these buckets, don't we? Spiritual, not spiritual. I love what you're saying, because to me, like, it's all spiritual. Another way of saying that is none of it's spiritual. It's just what is.
And what springs to mind there, I can hear Jamie going, "Well, what does it even mean?"
Yeah, exactly,
So
right.
we've got 7 billion people on this planet, and if they all knew, understood the word spirituality, you're going to have 7 billion different versions of what spirituality means. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we can't even get on someone's case about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, to me, it doesn't mean anything. It points to me, like, if it's the way that, you know, it seems kind of, if I ever talk about it, I'm using it to point to something that's formless, so it doesn't mean anything. It's just a pointer. And, the whole finger and the moon thing, it's not, it's, well, there we are fixating at our finger. It's no, it's the thing that's pointing to the moon. So you're right. It's just another way of pointing to that feeling. Even that's one word too much, one word too many. But yeah,
I think, well, and you haven't got, especially as summer here at the moment, you don't have to look far just to see the wonders going on in your garden or in the park.
yeah,
With the bumblebee doesn't need sat nav to find the pollen. There's wisdom. There's something bonkers going on. I'm not going to profess to know that I have all the answers, because I don't.
yeah.
I don't really want to, but I do want to dance in the presence of the universe.
Well, that's beautiful, man. I don't even think there is. In fact, maybe this is a beautiful thing to kind of explore, to like round off just a lovely convo, man. But I don't think, even if you had all the answers, like even if the voice came from, "Hi, here's why," and it gave you 37 reasons or one or whatever. There's this thing we hear. Sometimes people say God's in the gap. Is in like, oh, the only God's in the gap. Like science will explain it one day, and then well, to me, like, even if someone turned up and gave you all of the reasons why,
Yeah,
is that going to cut them? Is that it? Like, would you be like, okay, great, done? Or would you still be like, what the fuck? Would you still be like, this is unbelievable? To me, God's not in the gap. God is the gap, and the gap is God, and all that stuff. And it's there is no answer to those. And the part of us that wants, like, the part of the mind that wants that kind of certainty, or I need to know why, and there just is no answer to that. Like, being in the unknown is the beauty, as I see it.
yeah. And I think that's why I say the word game so much.
Hmm.
I think, and dance. I think that it's a case of, you know, game's probably more relevant because I'm not very good at dancing. But it is just a game, and you don't know how it's going to play out. But you're here to enjoy it and here to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
As life, right? Like, we
yeah,
have this idea that there's you and there's me, and there's life. We have this dualistic split, and that you are life.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. And
uh,
look at the consciousness of the planet at the moment, and bless it, it's not particularly chipper. So it's down to each and every one of us to slow down, to head further upstream to where experience is created, and actually clasp someone's hand, either metaphorically or literally, and walk with them.
yeah, yeah, lovely, man. I'm so glad. I can't believe that this is the first time we've sat down to do this. Like, I have no doubt will be this will be the first time of many. I know it.
Sounds good.
Where do people? So I know the book's on Amazon. So Letting
It
Go,
is.
Gaining Everything by Oliver Mansfield. But where is that? Basically, the place to
That's
point
the
people
place.
to.
Yeah, please go there.
Anywhere
And
else you want to point people to?
no, not you can find me. You can find me on Facebook and online and Oliver Mansfield coaching.co.uk or
Sweet.
the Paragon of paragonadvantage.co.uk. But you'll be able to find me if you look. If you really want to find me, you'll find me.
Yeah, really, yeah, like, that's true.
And if you
Well,
don't
thanks.
want to find me, that's okay.
Well, thanks for coming on, bro. I'm really, really excited to read the rest of the book. And yeah, I think maybe it'd be a nice thing to do to set up another chat after I've done that, because I think there'll be, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of things. And, if anyone grabs a copy and is impacted by it, reach out, send an email or say hi. And
Love to
I
hear.
mean, because I know that for like every person that reaches out and says, I was touched by that, there's very often a bunch of people who are equally touched who don't. And so just as someone who creates things, I think, I don't want to speak for you, man, but it's really, really lovely to hear from people.
That's the thing that means the most. I can promise you.
Yeah.
That's really that's so important. Just to
I I got a beautiful email this week from someone who'd been impacted by something, and it was really beautifully written, and it was just, yeah, I don't know, it's just yeah, it's just really lovely to hear those words from people that have been touched by something. So yeah.
I spoke to her. I had a client this morning, and she said, "Oh, I read some of your book." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He said, "I had an insight that the past and future no longer exist, and since then, I've seen three quotes about the past not no longer existing, which I've never seen before in my scrolls and things." And I was like, "That's a blind spot. We don't know. You weren't looking for it. You were
Yeah.
bypassing it." So that made my day. I couldn't ask for
Yeah.
anything more, except for speaking to you.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
This has been an honor and a privilege, I can promise
Oh,
you.
brother. No, it's really lovely to have you, man. And yeah, awesome. All right. Thanks for coming on, bro.
My pleasure. Lovely to see you.